Welcome to Global Glimpses, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. October 31st, 2025, marks a turning point in the history of the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court has issued a unanimous decision directly addressing the federal government's power to confiscate firearms. This ruling redefines the boundaries of governmental authority and affirms that constitutional rights cannot be set aside lightly. Millions of gun owners feel validated, while advocates for stricter gun control face a new legal landscape. The decision clarifies how courts should evaluate firearm restrictions, especially after the 2022 Bruin decision. It sets a new standard for when the government can declare someone unfit to exercise a constitutional right. The effects of this decision will ripple through legislatures, courtrooms, and the daily lives of Americans. The case, United States versus Himani, began with the prosecution of Ali Daniel Himani under a federal law banning gun possession by users of controlled substances. This case quickly became a focal point for debates on constitutional rights and federal authority. Himani, a resident of a state where marijuana use is legal, found himself at the intersection of state and federal law. Himani was found with a firearm while using marijuana, legal in many states, but not federally. This discrepancy highlighted the ongoing conflict between state laws that have legalized marijuana and federal laws that still classify it as a controlled substance. The government portrayed Himani as unworthy of protection, but the core issue was clear. Government disarm someone based solely on their status as a drug user? This question brought into focus the broader implications for civil liberties and the reach of federal power. Himani's defense argued, there's no historical tradition of disarming citizens for substance use alone. They contended that the Second Amendment should protect Himani's right to bear arms, regardless of his marijuana use. Historically, only those proven dangerous or convicted of serious crimes lost gun rights. The defense emphasized that Himani had no violent history and posed no threat to public safety. The case forced courts to weigh modern safety concerns against the historical test set by Bruin. This test requires that any regulation of gun rights must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. The government cited links between drug use and violence. The defense insisted the Second Amendment's protections remain intact regardless of policy goals. They argued that policy concerns should not override constitutional rights. The search for a historical analog became the case's turning point. Both sides scoured historical records to find precedents that would support their arguments. The outcome would reshape the legal landscape for gun rights and regulation. A ruling in favor of Himani could limit the federal government's ability to impose restrictions based on drug use, while a ruling against him could reinforce the federal stance on controlled substances and gun ownership. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, long recognized for its influential rulings on constitutional rights, once again found itself at the center of a national debate. Known for its strong defense of the Second Amendment, the court took a bold step by siding with Zaki Rahimi, a man whose case challenged the boundaries of federal gun laws. This decision sent shockwaves through the legal community and reignited fierce discussions about the limits of government power. The judges struck down the federal ban on gun possession for individuals using illegal drugs, declaring it unconstitutional. Their ruling questioned the very foundation of a law that had been in place for decades, raising concerns and hopes in equal measure. In their opinion, the court emphasized that there was no historical tradition in American law of disarming people simply for drug use. Instead, they pointed out that historically, only those who engaged in dangerous or violent conduct were stripped of their right to bear arms. Laws from the founding era, the judges noted, were designed to punish specific actions that threatened public safety, not to target individuals based on their status or personal habits. The court concluded that the founders did not intend to disarm citizens for using substances like alcohol or laudanum, both of which were common in the 18th century. This historical perspective became a cornerstone of the court's reasoning, suggesting that modern laws should reflect the original understanding of the Constitution. The decision was met with immediate and passionate reactions. Gun rights groups hailed the ruling as a victory for personal freedom and constitutional integrity, arguing that it protected law-abiding citizens from government overreach. On the other hand, gun control advocates warned that the decision could put communities at risk, fearing it would make it easier for dangerous individuals to access firearms. The Fifth Circuit's ruling did not go unnoticed by other courts. In fact, it created a sharp split among the federal circuits, as other appellate courts continued to uphold the same federal gun law, leading to a patchwork of legal standards across the country. With such a significant disagreement among the lower courts, it became clear that only the Supreme Court could resolve the issue and provide a definitive answer for the nation. The justices were called upon to address the contradiction, weighing the historical context of the Second Amendment against modern concerns about public safety and gun violence. Their decision would set a nationwide standard and shape the future of gun rights in America. The stage was set for a historic legal showdown, one that would test the meaning of history, the reach of the Constitution, and the balance between individual rights and collective security. As the nation watched and waited, all eyes turned to the Supreme Court, anticipating a verdict that would echo through American law and society for years to come. The Department of Justice appealed, arguing the lower court misapplied the Bruin test. The government claimed the law fit a tradition of keeping guns from those deemed dangerous, even if not a perfect historical match. They cited data linking drug use to violence and warned that striking down the law would undermine public safety. The DOJ urged the court to allow flexibility for modern threats, even without direct historical precedent. This approach clashed with Bruin's rejection of means-end balancing. The justices now had to clarify whether their historical test allowed for pragmatic public safety regulations. The case became a test of whether history or modern realities would guide Second Amendment law. In a rare unanimous decision, the Supreme Court struck down the federal ban on gun possession by unlawful users of controlled substances. The court ruled that status as a drug user is not enough to strip someone of Second Amendment rights. The government must show individual dangerousness, not just membership in a category. Justice Thomas's opinion found no historical tradition for such a ban. The court rejected calls for a flexible approach, insisting the Second Amendment remove certain policy choices from government hands. Only those convicted of serious crimes or found dangerous through due process can be disarmed. Concurring justices warned the ruling shouldn't be read to invalidate all gun prohibitions, especially those with stronger historical roots. The decision sets a high bar for future gun control laws. The Supreme Court's decision reaffirms that constitutional rights are individual and can't be revoked based on group status. Historically, laws punish dangerous conduct, not status. The justices found no precedent for disarming people simply for using substances like alcohol or opium. The ruling clarifies that modern gun regulations must closely mirror historical laws. The government's attempt to disarm drug users as a class was rejected as too broad. The court emphasized due process. The government must prove someone is dangerous, not just part of a group. This focus on individualized assessment is central to American justice. The Second Amendment, the court declared, is not a second-class right. The decision demands respect for individual liberty and limits on government intrusion. The immediate effect is that the federal ban on gun possession by unlawful drug users is unenforceable. This resolves the conflict for millions using state-legal marijuana, affirming their rights. The ruling sets a precedent that challenges any law banning gun ownership based on status rather than proven dangerousness. State legislatures must now review and revise their gun laws to comply. Laws mirroring the federal ban will need repeal or amendment. Lawmakers may focus on conduct-based restrictions like penalties for possessing firearms while intoxicated. For gun owners, the decision strengthens the legal foundation for their rights. The legal battlefield now demands that gun control measures align with historical tradition. Advocacy groups on both sides have mobilized in response to the ruling. Gun rights organizations see it as a tool to challenge other status-based prohibitions. Gun control advocates are shifting to legislative strategies, pushing for laws focused on dangerous conduct. Public awareness campaigns highlight the ruling's potential risks, aiming to build support for new legislation. The debate is moving from the courts to the public square and legislatures. Critics accuse the court of judicial activism. Supporters say it's upholding constitutional rights. The Hamani decision will shape both gun policy and the national conversation about the Supreme Court's role. The Hamani decision stands as a landmark moment in the ongoing story of America's gun debate, but it is far from the final word. Instead, it marks a turning point, one that will shape the legal, political, and cultural landscape for years to come. The ruling has sent ripples through the nation, igniting passionate responses from all sides, and raising new questions about the future of gun rights and regulations. By providing gun owners with a powerful legal shield, the decision has emboldened advocates for the Second Amendment, while at the same time, it has forced gun control supporters to rethink their strategies and adapt to a new legal reality. The ruling doesn't resolve the debate, it intensifies it, setting the stage for a new era of legal and political battles. In the months and years ahead, expect a surge of litigation as individuals, advocacy groups, and governments test the boundaries of the Supreme Court's decision. Each new case will probe the limits of the ruling, seeking to define exactly how far its protections extend and where the lines are drawn. Lower courts across the country will be tasked with applying the Supreme Court's reasoning to a wide range of existing and future gun laws. This process will likely generate a steady stream of new cases, each one adding further clarification, or perhaps new confusion, to the legal landscape. Meanwhile, in the political arena, lawmakers on both sides will seize the moment to push for legislation that either expands or restricts gun rights. The ruling will fuel heated debates, deepen partisan divides, and inspire new campaigns, as each side seeks to shape the future of gun policy in America. At its core, the decision affirms a powerful principle that gun rights cannot be legislated away without deep historical roots. Any attempt to regulate firearms will now be measured against the traditions and understandings that have shaped the Second Amendment since the nation's founding. Every gun law, whether new or old, will now face intense scrutiny through a historical lens. Judges and legal scholars will be called upon to examine centuries of legal precedent, searching for guidance in the past to resolve the conflicts of the present. The debate over firearms in American society is far from over. It will continue to play out in courtrooms, legislatures, and the court of public opinion, shaping the nation's laws, politics, and identity for generations to come.